you're watching just spectacular work performance.
Yeah.
And then you go to the other side, and the guy who's asking for a raise every 5 minutes, he's like, no performance. And what you find is you found an owner who said, hey, look, man, we're gonna go here together. We're gonna accomplish together. They're bought into what they're. I was with the team in California a few weeks ago. I mean, you want to talk about like locked in. But I mean, this guy has brought these guys together with him from like interns to like partners. And it's that belief in each other that is just, it's completely different. Now, all that to say, you can't give people pennies. You got to give them something. But at the end of the day, the decision to stay or to go, if it's just about the financial compensation, if that's the only determining factor, we talk about this all the time. If that's all it comes down to, then you have to employees, not want to employees. And it's constantly going to be, what more can I get out of you? It's Simon Sinek. When people are financially invested, they want to return. When people are emotionally invested, they want to contribute. And the emotional paycheck, it gets kind of a funny rap because it's like, oh, it's not a real paycheck. It's an emotional paycheck. But when you take it to those levels and you say, great, are you here to contribute or are you here because you need a check? And we all need a check. We gotta eat, right? I get it. But is there something you want to do more, or are you trying to get away with the bare minimum? And then when that bare minimum isn't hit, then I got to come down. Then we're having questions about me auditing your process.
Yeah. Consider yourself rebuked, Harvard Business Review.
Let's go.
It's true.
Oh, there goes that.
So let's lean into their ideal here though, and that is somebody who's promoted is 47% less likely to quit. And so I think that's what they're going after is if you're moving someone into a new position, we have this massive wave of people quitting.
For how long? That's the bigger question. Is like, how long are they less like? I mean, studies are done like this all the time, and it frustrates the fire me. It's like for the next 90 days, they're less likely to quit. What about in 6 months? What happens when the next person?
They failed to mention the bonus check from the Harvard Business Review.
So but this leans into. I think this leans into the last aspect of like our hiring process within Rise, which is the mobility of somebody in a seat, right?
Yes.
So I think they're kind of their conclusion is take a long-term view on talent management strategy. And so developing your talent into positions, into people that can move into those positions.
But it's a lagging indicator, not a leading indicator.
Okay.
The guy who owns the Houston Rockets, I was listening to an interview with him. He owns a very large company, and he talked about the fact he started his business with 30 people. All 30 of them are still there. Okay, that's a lagging indicator of the fact that he has a really good culture. It's not a leading indicator that he gives people fake promotions for not doing anything. I think that's the challenge with that data and the challenge with that philosophy, which is if you're using it as a carrot to get somebody to do their job, guess what? They were a horrible employee. Guess what they're going to be? They're going to be a horrible manager. That's just how it's going to be. The idea that you're going to move up and all of a sudden learn all these management skills, that's baloney.
Was this funded by a government program at Doja's about right? I mean, that's the voice that I have because it's like at the end of the day,
this study brought to you by USAID.
Yeah, was it funded by the USAID? I mean, I don't understand. But like, of course, people aren't going to leave when you give them more money and a job raise. I mean, it's like we got to put an article out. So let's put an article out that makes a lot of sense. That can't be like talked down.
These jokers will spend 20 minutes on a podcast wasting time talking about it.
Yeah,
this is ridiculous.
I mean, it honestly kind of is. It's
Throw
like
that study
away.
If
If you want to keep your people, promote them. Yeah, I mean, makes a lot of sense. But should you be promoting them is the bigger question. And then how many of these people should you not be keeping?
Yeah.
Right?
Like the next study.
Maybe 20% of the 49% that stays shouldn't be staying. The
next study is going to be on how to get rid of people. Demotions.
Yeah, productivity reports. How to get rid of people. Pay them 9 months to leave.
Yes. 99% of people don't want to be held accountable at work.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love these studies. $5 million spent our taxpayer money. Probably spent on a study that said, if you want to keep somebody, give them more money.
Yes.
Brilliant. Thanks, Harvard Business Review.
Diamonds are shiny.
Must have been like a laid-off government employee that went for Harvard Business Review, and now he's bringing his expertise to it.
I like it.
I'll try to find
Where
something.
are you finding this crap?
All right. Let's see here. Let's jump into. We touched on this just a bit, but Trump tariffs.
Yeah.
So, do you think he'll actually put them in place, or keep just using them as leverage against some of our bordering allies and kind of our
I think if he doesn't act on threats at some point, they're not going to be valid anymore. So I think he's got to he's got to play it right. Like I don't think he's going to use every tariff he says he's going to apply.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think there are some that are just like brainless. I think you have to. Like for example, Canada. Like what are we not why I mean, how are we being tariffed at 60-70% on stuff where they're not getting like 5-10% tariffs? Like I think he has to in those scenarios. And I don't think those are the ones that are becoming known around, nobody's talking about those, right? Those are going to happen. It's naturally going to happen. But I think the ones that he's, saying out there in mainstream media, I think they're probably more along the lines of like just a scare tactic or, just incentivize. I mean, they work. Yeah. I mean, look at Mexico and look at, they
came running to the borders to defend them. Yeah.
I mean, so they work. I mean, I think at some point here, empty threats are only going to last so long. I think you actually have to take action on some of them. I think it's a fine line. Tariffs are a fine line. People talk about like, will they drive up the cost of goods? And I think they will. I mean, but they'll also drive people to buy more from America. Yeah. I think it'll drive people to make more products in America. Yeah. And I think as an American, we got to be willing to, if you're truly going to make America great, put America first and put the American people first, then it starts with our products. It starts with our, our companies. Yeah. We can't keep funding companies and stuff and giving all this money to third world countries and even, first world countries in companies to make products for America when we have the resources. I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand at all why, like, we will spend money to like buy oil from another nation when we have the most oil rich nation right here in America. Yeah. And it's like, if we're going to figure out a way to get rid of the need of oil in general, that's one thing. Yeah. But like, if we're like, that's something that frustrated me, I think, about the last party. It's like, all right, we're going to get rid of consumption of oil in America. But we're going to spend millions and billions of dollars buying it from somewhere else.
Right.
Well, it's easier to funnel money back into your own pocket from monies going overseas than it is internally. But I mean, there's that.
I mean, when you have a broken system, it sounds like it was pretty easy to funnel money, period. So, like, whether it was going around the world or coming back in. But, I mean, I think that's the thing about tariffs. Tariffs are an equalizer. They're the ultimate equalizer. Yeah. It makes people decide.
They're terrified of them.
No,
I love it.
No, we can cut that out.
Well, I think it's where it comes from. Are you terrified?
No,
because you're gonna get tariffed if you're not. No, but I think it's a great equalizer of balance.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a client in Ireland. So 2 weeks ago I was in Ireland, and you're driving through Ireland, and they drive you through this town. They were like, used to be the most dangerous town in Ireland, and now it's the Silicon Valley of Ireland. And what they're doing there is they're making chips and pharmaceuticals. And so when Trump came with the tariffs, what does he want to bring back to the U.S.? Chips and pharmaceuticals. Yeah. And they said literally the entire Irish economy now is on the back of selling chips and pharmaceuticals. I was there. We went to a restaurant. And the guy goes, he's like, "Oh, you're from the U.S." I'm like, he's like, "Oh, you're here with IBM?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Oh, usually everybody's here with IBM." And again, it's coming back to a place where it's like, if we have the ability, if we're consuming it, why would we not make it? And why would we not care for the product? And the only answer is it's a financial reason. And the financial reason is our what we export and what we import is so imbalanced. And I think that's all the point Trump's making. You said it earlier. He does this move where he says the crazy thing and then sees how far people are going to let him go. Like the other day he was on there saying he wants to run for a third term. He doesn't want to run for a third term. He just wants to see if people would even be open to the idea. Yeah. That's all this is him dropping something out there and saying, "Hey, we're gonna even out the trade deficit. We're gonna get this thing to where it's even.